Tov Yeladin. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom, everyone.
All right, we got a small class to start us off this morning. Everybody's late. All right. So let's go crazy. Let's go crazy. Crazy. Mia's gonna pray. Byron's gonna do the Shema. Lev's gonna do the 10 Commandments in English.
Okay. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for letting us have another day of life. Thank you for letting us wake up. Thank you, Lord, that we're allowed to have an education. Please, I ask you today that you help us to learn a new lesson and that we apply this lesson to our lives. I ask you, Lord, that you help us during these trials, these testing times, and that you help us to be wise as a serpent, as gentle as a dove, as you say. And help us, Lord, to be able to spread the word to other people. And so that other people will be able to establish a relationship with you. And in Yeshua's name, amen.
Shema Yisrael Yehovah Eloheinu Yehovah Echad Baruch Shekevah Malkutecha Leolam Nayeh Yisrael, the Lord our God is one God.
Okay, your turn.
I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Do not make any idols before my face. Do not misuse the name of the Lord in vain. Keep the Shabbat holy. Honor your mother and father. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not lie. And do not covet.
Amen. Give Lev the big 2 fingers. All righty. Now we had an assignment yesterday. I don't see Elisheva here this morning, but they actually made cheese and ice cream. Okay. Mia, give us your ice cream recipe. Your ice cream recipe.
That's me. That's Lev. Me and Lev
Okay,
working together.
Lev, give us your ice cream recipe.
How ice cream is made.
How is it made?
Introduction. This is the way how to make ice cream. The ingredients are heavy cream, pure vanilla extract, 1 mason jar, and sugar. Step 1. Put a half cup of heavy cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Step 2. Close it up real tight. Step 3. Shake it up for 5 minutes. Step 4. Wet a paper towel and wrap it around the mason jar. Number 5. Put it in the freezer. Step 6. Leave it for 2 to 3 hours. Step 7. You're all done. Step 8. Congratulations, you made your own ice cream.
What if you wanted strawberry ice cream?
I guess put strawberries in it.
All right. Does anybody else want to give us their ice cream recipe? Yeshua.
For make ice cream, you need a milk, sugar, vanilla, and you shake it and put it in the freezer. You shake it and shake it and shake it, and you put it in the freezer.
Yeah. Why do you have to shake it? What's the purpose of shaking?
For form it. For form it. Like when you're making a dough. When you're making dough, you're making it form. So you shake it by forming it.
Okay, very good. So you shake it to form it. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Anybody in the Sinclair land want to give us their ice cream recipe? Did you do your assignment?
Forgot.
No.
You do?
We do make ice cream.
Well,
But it's not with
we have a way that we make it, but we didn't look it up. We forgot.
You forgot your assignment?
Yeah.
Why? Well, that's not good. All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Now, what else do we have to make? Cheese. Mia, cheese. Tell us how you make cheese. I want to know how to make cheese. I want to make my own cheese. I want to make my own cheese. Holy Shava made her own cheese yesterday. I want to make my own cheese. I like cheese.
Me too. I like cheese. This is a simple process for just regular cheese. I mean, there are other processes for cheddar cheese, of course, and like other types of cheese, but I got a simple process. So the ingredients for cheese are a gallon of raw milk, vinegar, salt, and herbs, but they're optional if you'd like to add herbs. But the basic ingredients are a gallon of raw milk, vinegar, and salt. And so this is what you have to do. You have to pour the raw milk into a heavy pot, so it'd be sort of a big pot. And then you turn the stove up to medium heat. Then you have to stir the milk constantly. Don't let it sit because it won't. You have to stir constantly so it won't burn. You have to keep it heated until the milk is like around the part where the milk's about to boil, which is around 205 degrees Fahrenheit. And while the milk is still on the stove, you have to add a third cup of any type of vinegar. Of any vinegar you have. It doesn't matter. And because the vinegar has acid, the acidity in the vinegar, the curds will separate from the whey. The curds is pretty much like the cream. It'll start clumping together. The whey is the water inside the milk. So it'll separate. And the curds will start to come together. Then you have to let it cool for 10 minutes. Next, you have to take another pot, and you have to take your strainer and a towel or a cheesecloth. I'll explain in a minute. So you put the pot there with the strainer. Then you put the cloth there. And the reason you put the cloth there is the fact that when you pour it all in, the cheese will, if without the cloth, the cheese will get stuck in the holes from the strainer, and it's gonna be a mess. So the cheese will stay in the cloth, and then you have to let it strain for 10 minutes. Next, with the cheese in the cloth, you have to put salt in. Actually, sorry. Add a tablespoon of salt in with the cheese, and you have to stir in the cheese. And you have to break up any big chunks that are there. Next, you have to grab the cloth by all corners, so the leftover fabric on top, you twist it while the cheese is still in it, and then after you twist the top part of the cloth very tight, you have to squish the part of the cheese to strain out any excess whey. Then finally, put it in the refrigerator to finish up. And then, voila, you have cheese.
Did you do it?
No, we didn't get to.
Okay. So the spices is the different types of cheeses. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you can use any types of spices for different cheeses. This one is combinable with any spices. We did make cheese before.
All right, Victoria, do you want to tell us your cheese recipe? Very good, Mia. Very good.
Yeah. So it's pretty much the same thing as Mia's. So you need milk, vinegar, and salt. And I didn't use measurements. It's just what I saw, they didn't use measurements, but so what you do is put milk in a pot, and then you put it on medium heat, and you don't let it boil. It's like you let it there just below like boiling heat, and then when it comes to almost boiling, you put it on low heat, and then you pour a little bit of vinegar, and you stir it up, and then and then and then the curds will start to like separate, and like the water of the milk, or the milk itself, will turn into like a yellow color. It will just turn into a different color. So once all the curds are separated, you can either like use a sifter or a cheesecloth to like drain it, and and then and then you squeeze all the like excess milk, and then you let it cool in the fridge for about an hour, and then when it comes out, you can put salt on top or some herbs.
Well, that sounds pretty good, Vicky. I think you need to have precise measurements, especially when you're baking, because it's gonna taste the different. If you don't put enough vinegar and stuff like that, and salt, you got to have your precise measurements for cooking. There's little variations, but I think you're gonna need precise measurements. All right, very good, Vicky. Hadassah, you're wiggling your fingers.
I know how to make cheese with the ingredients. First, you get the milk from the cow. Step 2, put it inside a jar and boil it. And then fold it. Squeeze a lemon, and then mix it. And then you put the milk inside a blanket for the water can dip. And then also you have to put salt on it for it to taste good. And there you have your cheese.
Very good, Hadassah. Very good. All right. So we were talking about this yesterday because Pharaoh had a dream. Sheva, tell us a little bit about making your ice cream. You actually made ice cream yesterday. Was it good? Did it taste good?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, we didn't use milk. We actually use half and half.
Oh, rich ice cream.
Creamier and thicker.
So Sheva, did you shake up the bag? Was it cold?
Yes.
Yes.
What did it taste like? What kind of ice cream did you make?
Vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla? Did you have a bowl of vanilla ice cream for dessert?
What you put on top? Say it.
Strawberry.
Strawberries. All right. So it's great to know how to do this, guys, because with things going on in the world, we might have to live on a farm or live off the land. And if we have a cow, there's many things we can do. Yes, Lev?
You can also, there are 2 ways you can use it. You can grab a mason jar or a Ziploc bag. You can use a mason jar, like you put the stuff in the. Sorry, go ahead. You put the stuff in and then you shake it for 5 minutes. What stuff? You can heavy cream, pure vanilla extract, and sugar. So
I would think, I have a question. When you're making the ice cream and you put it in the mason jar, won't the mason jar crack in the freezer when you're putting it in to freeze?
No?
No? Because usually ice cream comes in like a, the cardboard containers. So I was wondering if there was a reason for that. I've never made my own ice cream. Maybe we'll all do it together one day when we can get together and we can make our own ice cream and make our own cheese. It's good to know all these things because with things being they are, you have these skills are very good. There's a lot of skills that young people don't have anymore, and actually older people don't have anymore either. So if you have a cow, you can do a lot of great things with a cow, and you can get a goat's milk, although it tastes very different than a cow's milk, but you can get goat's milk and do the same thing. So there's many different things that when God said you're going to have 7 years of famine, and the 7 fat cows got eaten by the 7 skinny cows. This is why we're talking about it, because we were talking about the 7 years of good and the 7 years of want. Okay, so great skills, guys. But now we're going to move on, and we're going to be looking at something called perseverance and doing what God wants and what God does after your time. All right, so who wants to read? Marley? Verse 38 to 40.
Okay. Pharaoh said to his officials, "Can we find anyone else like him? The Spirit of God lives in him." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. You will be in charge of my household. All my people will be ruled by what you say. Only when I rule from my throne will I be greater than you."
All right, thank you, Miss Marley. Thank you, Marley. All right, so Joseph left Canaan at the age of 17. He left. Now, what did he carry with him? Was he on a vacation in Egypt? How did he get to Egypt? Who can tell me how he got to Egypt? Lev?
He was sold to the Midianites and Ishmaelim
Sold as what?
as a slave.
Okay, so he was as a slave. Was this something that he wanted to do, Yeshua? Was this something that Joseph wanted to do, yes or no?
No.
No, he didn't want to do it. So it's something that was against his will, but God had a plan. Jehovah had a plan. Okay, so he was 17 when he left. And did this happen right when he got to Egypt, being raised up to Pharaoh, the side of Pharaoh, Riyadh? Riyadh, was this immediately?
No.
What happened to him in between some of this? Tell some of the things that happened to him in between being sold as a slave and this point when Pharaoh raises him up.
Well, he was accused for a crime he didn't commit, like assaulting Potiphar's wife, and then he was thrown into prison because Potiphar believed his wife.
So he was accused of crimes he didn't commit. So okay, that's one thing that happened to him. Yadiel, do you know what else happened to Yosef? Do you know anything else that happened to Yosef between? What do you say?
Um,
Do you think being a slave was fun?
no.
Do you think he was treated good or bad as a slave?
Bad.
Okay. All right, let's see. Victoria, what else happened to Joseph in between when he got sold and this point? Anything else that happened? Where else was he living?
Well, something he didn't, even though he was a slave, he didn't like just leave God.
Okay. He didn't leave God. Elisheva, do you know where else he was living? He was living in Potiphar's house for a little while. Then where did he live after that? Do you remember?
Where did he live after that? I don't even know. Stop playing with the stapler. Listen. What was the question, Rabbi? I'm sorry.
Where was he living? Did he have a bed, Elisheva? Did he sleep in a bed? You got to speak up. You got to talk instead of shaking your head. No, was he sleeping with the bugs on the ground?
No.
No, he was sleeping with the bugs on the ground.
He's in jail.
No.
He was in jail. Okay, let's go over to Hadassah. Hadassah and Shmui. Okay, where was Joseph living?
Where was Joseph living?
After he left Potiphar's house, where did he live?
He was living in the
Where he was.
in jail.
Is that a fun place? Do you think that's a fun place to live?
No.
No, Shmui?
No.
Did you think he was living with the? What kind of bed do you think he lived in had to sleep in the jail?
Say
Do
it
you
loud.
think,
No. On the floor.
is it fun to sleep on the floor?
No. Too bumpy. Too bumpy.
It's too lumpy.
Yeah.
And ants can crawl on you, and bugs can crawl on you all night long.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So everybody. So now coming back to what we're learning today. This is now 13 years later. Joseph was 17 when he got sold, because he got his coat when he was 17. We don't see a time shift, so he's 17, and now he's 30 years old. So how many years was that? How many years was he in slavery? Allie Mae, how many years was Joseph in slavery? She's on the floor.
10?
10?
Isn't you said 20, right?
No, he's 30 years old now. And he left
I
when he
know,
was
but
7.
he was 20 when he was sold, right? No, he was 17.
Get in
So
front of
he
your
was 17.
microphone. You got to get closer to your microphone, please.
13?
13 years. 13 years. All right. So he was 17 when he left. He's now 30 years old. That's 13 years. So what is the word perseverance? What does the word perseverance mean, Adrian?
Perseverance. I mean, that's when you don't stop, you don't quit, you keep on going despite all the troubles, all the challenges.
Would it have been easy? Do you think perseverance is easy to do?
No,
Why not?
there are many times where you probably think about giving up, where giving up would look like the easier answer.
What do you think, Marley? What is perseverance, Marley?
You keep on going like in a race. You keep going until the race ends, or when you get to the finish line.
Okay, keep going until the race ends. Okay, Yadiel, can you explain to me what the word perseverance means?
Like keep going. It's like keep going and everything.
Explain that.
Like when you're like you never give up. Like everything.
You never give up. That's good. Do you have this personality trait? This in you? Do you never give up?
Sometimes
Why only sometimes?
I don't know why. Maybe it's too hard or something.
You think it was hard for Joseph? Being sold as a slave, not knowing what's happening, and for 13 years 13 years he was a slave. You think that was hard for him?
Of course, it's even more harder than hard.
So have you done anything that hard before?
No.
Okay, well maybe one of the things you can can try to do is have perseverance. Okay, let's see, Lev. Lev, have you ever persevered through something, Lev?
I don't know necessarily. Yes.
Can you give me an example of your perseverance?
Hmm. It wasn't easy for me to learn multiplication,
Ah!
but I kept trying. Also, it was hard for me to learn 3-digit divisions.
What about tying your shoe? What about tying your shoes?
What?
What about tying your shoes?
I can still do that.
But you had to persevere for that. That took you a long time to do.
Yeah.
You just didn't want to tie your shoes. Let's go to Riette. Riette, who's falling asleep there on the bed, laying back in her chair. Tell me about perseverance. What does perseverance mean? Get close to the microphone.
Well, it's to have faith and not to give up, to keep trying.
What is this a good quality to have?
Yes.
Why?
Because if you give up, then you'll just be like a loser. If you have perseverance, you could be successful in life because you always keep trying, and at some point it might actually help.
Why do you got to keep trying? Why isn't it just like, forget this, I don't want to do this anymore?
Because maybe maybe if you keep trying, you you could achieve something. It depends on
Well,
what you keep trying.
have you ever persevered through something? Can you give us an example of something that you've done in all your 5 years of life?
Um, maybe learning to walk as a toddler. Kidding now. Probably learning how to fold some of my clothes because some of them are just frustrating, especially the hoodies.
Learning to fold some of your clothes,
Yeah, some of them are frustrating because they always have bits sticking out, as they usually look messy when I fold
like your hair.
them.
Okay, no. Victoria, tell us about perseverance, Victoria.
Perseverance is just like someone not giving up and not quitting.
Do you have this quality of perseverance, or do you always like, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it?
Well, I usually don't say I can't because if I do say that, then I won't be able to. So, I think that I usually persevere. I think
Usually?
yeah. Okay, I use all the time.
All the time, or some of the time?
Most of the time.
Well, what makes you fail? What makes you not persevere? So why didn't you say 100% of the time? I always persevere. I'm tenacious. I'm stubborn. I'm gonna do it. Why do you not do it some of the time?
Um, well, it's usually just like like 96% of the time I do persevere, but the rest 4%, I guess it's maybe I decided to do something that I really can't do, like something. Actually, I don't know when I gave up. I just don't think I persevere all the time.
Okay. Mia, tell me about perseverance.
Okay, so perseverance is a quality where you don't quit, but you keep trying to push on trying to achieve your goal. Something we really need now. Now, one thing for me about perseverance for like the past few days, like I've been struggling at math because I've been learning new concepts. Like last week, I was learning about these equations, and to me, it seemed really hard. And at first, like I thought doing it all my way at first for some reason. And then after that, with Brittany's help, I was able to do it. I'm still working on it. And another problem involving geometry, too, involving geometry. I'm still working on it, but I'm persevering through it. There you go.
Have you ever failed before?
Hmm. Yeah, a few times I'm like, I give up, no more, no more. But then I realize, no, I gotta do it. If not, I'm gonna sit here all day.
You'll never finish the lesson.
I know.
And never finished the lesson?
It'll be an everlasting lesson.
The reason people give up is the fact that either they get tired after several attempts, or it's that after several attempts they see that their way is not working. That's what
Okay.
happens.
All right, let's go over to Allie Mae. Allie Mae, tell us about perseverance. Is this a good quality to have or a bad quality?
It's a good quality to have.
Why? Seems so hard.
Because then you won't give up on anything you have to do. Like because if you give up on everything you have to do, then you won't have anything left. Because if you give up on your job, you won't have a job. If you give up on like doing something important, then you won't get anything for doing that important thing.
Do you persevere 100% of the time, or you're like Victoria 96%?
96%.
96%. Well, what makes you
maybe 50%.
you persevere 50%? What makes you stop the other 50% of the time? That's a pretty high percentage.
It just depends.
Depends on like if it's worth, you think it's worth it or not.
Yeah, I guess. Sometimes it's just that I just think I can't do it, and I just won't be able to do it.
What about that saying in the Brit Hadashah in the New Testament where it says, "I can do all things through Yeshua who strengthens me"?
Mm,
You don't believe that?
I do, but I mean,
Well, what we're trying to figure out, the reason I'm asking is because Yosef had to persevere, okay? And it was 13 years, and you're only like 9 years old, right, Allie?
almost 15.
Oh, I keep forgetting you're only 12. So we look to the Bible and the scriptures to help us to say other people have gone before us, and they didn't even have the Bible, and they went through this situation and they persevered. So what was your roadblock? Can you remember something where you're just like, I am not doing this anymore. I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm going to go over here and play a video game.
I didn't go play video games, but yeah, there was one last Sunday, where I was riding the four-wheeler with my dad, and we have a tiller at home, and this was the first time I ever pulled a trailer or backed anything up. So I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't understand what he was telling me, and I was like, "Dad, I can't do this." He was like, "You have to turn the other way." The other way. And I was like, "What do you mean? I don't know how to do this." And he ended up doing it. And I was like,
Well, how did that make you feel that you didn't persevere?
kind of upset. Like, I just kind of felt like, oh man, that's disappointing.
It's just upsetting and disappointing. Two very good words, upsetting and disappointing. Okay, let's go over, let's see. Yadiel, who's sitting next to you?
Uncle?
Right. Jorge. Me.
Who? I can't see your backlit.
Me. Here. Jorge.
Jorge?
Mm-hmm.
Jorge, can you tell me what grade are you in, Jorge?
8th.
8th grade. Can you tell me what the word perseverance means?
It's, I could put an example like, um, let me say you're working to buy something and you don't have the money and you put in all your power to get that amount of money so you could buy it. That's basically what it is. It's like driving yourself to do something without stopping, but you know you might not get it, but you still keep doing it.
So you're driving yourself to get something like you're getting kind of old there, you're in 8th grade and you're thinking like maybe you want a car, huh? And so you got a part-time job and you save your money little by little so that when you're 17, if the world is still around, you can get a car, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if you lose that part-time job because they don't need you anymore? Do you try to go get another job?
If it's possible, then yeah.
Okay. Do you think this is a good thing to have inside you, this drive to persevere?
Yeah, because you can get through like a lot of accomplishments as you go on through life.
That's good. That's very good, Jorge. Good, very good.
Thank you.
All right. So this is something that we all want to have, guys and gals. You want to have this quality in you, no matter if you're Elisheva's age or Hadassah's age or Shmuli's age, or you're older. You guys are some of you are teenagers. Okay, you want to have this ability to persevere because you don't know what God's plan is. So God put you in a situation, and you're supposed to do something. So instead of get disappointed, you try. You say let's say somebody's teaching you how to do something. Like Allie Mae's father was trying to teach her how to do the with the four-wheeler and how to pull something. Okay, what you say is, I don't understand. Can you explain it a different way? Okay, because I'm not understanding what you're meaning, and you got to stay calm. Okay. Now we come back to the scripture. It said in verse 38 through 40. He wants to read it. He wants to read verse 38 to 40. Okay. Mia.
Pharaoh said to his officials, "Can we find anyone else like him? The Spirit of God lives in him." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. You will be in charge of my household. All my people will be ruled by what you say. Only when I rule from my throne will I be greater."
Okay. So now there is rewards for persevering. There is rewards for persevering, even when you don't know what the end, what's going to happen in the end, or what we say down the road. Okay, everybody go down the road. Everybody down the road. Come on, Yadiel. Down the road. Down the road. Okay? You don't know what's going to happen down the road. But what we do need to understand is, listen up, everybody, carefully, is you have to serve God no matter what. Okay? You can't lose faith in God just because things look bad. Now, do you think that things over the 13 years, let's start with Yeshua, do you think over those 13 years of Joseph's life, started out when he was 17 when his brother sold him into slavery, and now he's 30. Do you think at some point, it was very hard and he could have lost faith in God? You think that can happen to somebody during these trials, Yeshua?
Yes,
Why? Why would somebody lose their faith in God?
because they lost their family and they're alone. They have nobody.
Okay, those are some very good things to think about. Say it again.
They forgot the Bible and they got beat.
They forget the Bible and they forget God. What about you, Elisheva? Elisheva, this was a long, long time that Yosef didn't see his mommy, he didn't see his daddy, and he had a lot of things that, that he didn't like to do. So, do you think he kept believing in God?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
He trusted in God. Right? Say,
Yes.
yes, but why? You trusted in God. You trust God.
You trust God.
Do you trust God? Okay, very good. Now, Riet, let's go over to Riet and then to Lev. Riet, then Lev. Okay? Riet, Lev, and Yadiel. Riet, during this 13 years, could he would have been easy for him to quit on God?
Yes,
Why? Why,
because
pray tell?
because sometimes people can get I keep forgetting words I'm trying to say. Um
What, you got sometimes disease, or are you an old person?
well, I don't know. Maybe some people get they they lose faith
Why did they lose faith?
because sometimes if they're away from an environment that has God, then sometimes they may forget God.
So they're going through a hard trial, a hard situation, and they lose faith in God because God is not doing what they want God to do.
No, maybe because they feel like it's just hopeless sometimes.
Well, they think it's hopeless because God isn't doing what they're telling God to do.
Well, some people are just selfish and yeah, that.
Oh, okay. Lev, what do you think? Would have been easy for Joseph to walk away from God? It's a long time, 13 years. He's sold into slavery. He goes to Potiphar's house. He's doing a good job there. This lady does this icky thing. And he's got to go in prison, and the guys forget about him for 2 years. And it could have been easy for him to walk away because, he's in a bad situation.
It was easy for him to go away from God. But he knew that if he persevered, then God would be happy with him. And of course, everyone wants God to be happy with them so that they don't go to Sheol.
Yeah, but, you got to persevere through all this stuff. And, his brothers, he did nothing wrong to his brothers. His brothers hated him. Then he's going to walk through the desert in a minimum 40 days, Mia told us. And then he goes to Potiphar's house and he's doing things right. And then this lady does this, he's like, I can't do that. That's my boss, you're my boss's wife. And then he gets thrown into jail. And then and he interprets the dream right, and he's like, "Don't forget me." And then like another year goes by, and there's no one's on the jail here, and another year goes by, and there's on the jail here, and couldn't he have lost faith?
Yes, he could have lost faith. I mean, like, we're saying probably he could have lost faith. I mean, I'm not saying like that in the Bible it says he lost his faith, but he never lost his faith. Because if he's a godly man, then that means he won't sin. And like say mean things to God, like, "Oh, I asked you to deliver me from this prison and you're leaving me here." He wasn't saying like those things. He was probably thanking God that he was keeping him safe instead of him being thrown into the desert with all the wild animals.
You think he was thanking God for being safe in the dungeon, sleeping with the rats, the ratones?
Well, he probably was thanking God because even in bad times you have to thank God for keeping you safe. Even though you're in a house of someone else, you're still safe. You're not like thrown into the wild with all the wild animals that are gonna eat you. At least you're somewhere safe and you have a place to sleep.
Safe in a prison. I don't know about safe in a prison. But good thoughts, Lev. Good thoughts. Let's go over to Yadiel. Yadiel, let me unmute you over there. Yadiel. I mean, Joseph went through a lot. He got sold by his brothers, and he did nothing wrong. Then he's got to walk through the desert at least 40 days. Then he goes to this guy Potiphar's house, and he's a slave there. And then he's doing good there, and the Potiphar's wife wants to do something icky with him, and he says no. And then she lies about him. Then he's got to go to prison, and then he's in prison, and then he tells this guy the dream. Could have been easy for Joseph to like say, "I don't want to follow you, God, anymore. You're not doing what I'm telling you to do. I want to get out of this prison. Don't forget me." Would have been easy for Joseph to say that, Yadiel.
I think God was just testing him.
Testing him.
Yeah, seeing what he was gonna do. If he was gonna give like not having faith in God anymore. I think he knew. I think Joseph knew that things were gonna get better and everything.
Joseph knew that things were going to get better.
Yeah, maybe that.
He trusted. How do you trust in God? God that you don't see.
Mm. He could talk to you like when you pray.
God talks to people when you pray.
My grandmother said to me.
Do you hear His voice?
Sometimes maybe.
Yeah, you hear His voice. Well, just think of it this way, Yadiel. We know the earth is round. I know there's a lot of weird people out there that think the world is flat, but the world is round. So you're standing on a ball and you're not falling off. You ever tried to stand on a ball?
I have once. Seems like a
You have one? Have you ever tried to stand on it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Have you tried to stand on the ball?
Yeah.
Can you stand on the ball?
Some people can, but not me.
Okay. Can they stand on the ball for like a long time, like an hour?
I can't. I can't.
Now, when those people were standing on the ball, was the ball spinning?
No, I don't think
No.
it was.
So we're standing on a ball that's spinning 23,000 miles an hour. Woo! I don't even think Grandma drives that fast. Okay? So you're standing on a ball that's spinning 23,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Where did that ball come from? It's like sitting there in space.
Came from God.
Came from God. Yeah, we got to trust God. Okay? Now let me go over to Victoria. Victoria! And then the alley may. Oh, wait. Riette's got her hand up. Riette! Marlies!
I will never stand on a ball and have never stood on a ball because I know that thing will wreck my spine. And I will have to sit in a wheelchair.
Hang on, you just fall off.
Yeah, I just try to sit on them. I fell on my butt one time and never again.
Did you get a crack in it?
Well, I had to stay in bed for a couple days, I'm pretty sure. I couldn't walk upstairs properly.
Well,
I will not mess with those ever again. Well,
okay.
maybe playing catch. That's okay.
So, does God talk to you, Riette?
Yes, I have a whole book about it.
Do you ever hear God's voice?
No.
No? Then how do you know he's there?
Well, he gives me thoughts.
How does he give you thought? Like he puts it in your USB plug?
No. I don't know. He just gives me thoughts. And if it's a bad thought, yeah, it's from Satan. If it's a good thought, then it's from God. If it's if it's maybe something about scripture, of course it's not a flesh thought.
Okay. So how did you think Joseph trusted for 13 years? You know, his brother sold him to slavery, and he's got to walk through the desert, and he's got to go to Potiphar's house, and then he gets thrown in jail from Potiphar's house. Then he goes to jail, and he tells these guys a dream, and then they forget it. He says something before they're like, "Don't forget me," and they forget him, and then a year goes by, and they still forget him, and the second year goes by, and then they forget him, and then after 2 years. You know, I mean, this is terrible, 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 terrible. How did he keep persevering and trusting?
Crazy faith right there.
Do you have crazy faith?
Probably not.
What's going to happen if you don't have crazy faith? If you lose faith during the trials, because God's not doing what you want God to do.
Well, then it just ends bad. Well, for me, I'd feel like I would actually pray a bunch if I was, say, stranded somewhere I didn't know, or yeah, sold into slavery. I would probably be praying every night because I'd be terrified.
You're probably praying every night, but this is 13 years. 13 years, and God's not answering your prayer to get out of slavery. What happens?
Well, I don't know because I've never actually been in that problem before, in that situation.
Well, that's a very good point, Riette. That's a very good point. That's what I want all you kids to think about. I want you never to forget this lesson.
I don't think I'll forget it.
Well, we have some things coming up. Prophecy is coming true, and what's going on in the world is not very good. Okay? There's a lot of people getting sick. I mean, we have ways of curing this plague, this minor plague. But let's say the world changes. And because you believe in God, you become slaves. This is possibility. It's called the tribulation. It's called persecution. It's happened before. Let me mute this. Okay? So you children have to remember this lesson. This is why we have the Bible. The Bible is true. It was not written by men. It was given to us by God, written through men. God, like Riette said, God gives him thoughts, and then he wrote it down. It wasn't thoughts God told him what to write down. And always remember Joseph. Remember Yeshua. Remember Joseph. Remember the people of God that persevered no matter what happened. They didn't know Joseph didn't know what was going to happen. But he trusted God. And here, after 13 years, God raised him up. Look what it says in verse 40. You will be in charge of my household. This is Pharaoh talking to Joseph. You will be in charge of my household. All my people will be ruled by what you say. Only when I rule from my throne will I be greater than you. So he went from being an Israelite, a Hebrew, being sold by his brothers, into slavery, walking through the desert for minimum 40 days, going to Potiphar's house, doing a good job, and some evil person lied about him. Then he goes from being a slave there to even something worse, and now he's in a dungeon, not even in a nice place anymore, with not nice people. But then God raised him up to be in charge of the dungeon, but he's still a prisoner. And he tells these two guys their dream, and it comes true, and he says, don't forget me. So the lesson that we're going to learn today, that we're going to end on, is this. When you think God is not doing what you want God to do, don't lose your faith, because God has a plan. Joseph didn't know the plan, but he had to persevere through 13 years. God always has a plan. Jehovah always has a plan. He's in control of all things. Don't lose faith because he's not listening to what you're telling him to do, because he's got a plan. Maybe what you're telling him to do doesn't work in his plan right now. But Joseph persevered through some very difficult times. But he believed in God. And then when God was done and his plan was about to happen, he needed Joseph to be the leader of Egypt. He became the leader of Egypt. So learn this lesson and keep it deep in your spirit, everybody. From the youngest of us, from Elisheva to Shmuel, to Hadassah, to Pincus, to Nana, to Yeshua, Marlise, and Adrian. To everybody in the class, Allie Mae, Victoria, Gadiel, Jorge, Lev, and Mia. Don't ever forget this lesson. No matter what happens, trust God. And if God is not doing what you want him to do, just keep praying. Okay? All right, we're going to end our class today. Let me get everybody on my screen, and I'm going to see who wants to pray to close our day. I'm going to thinking of number from 1 to 10. 1 second, let me get everybody on the screen. 1 second here, I got to get you all on my screen over here. One second. One second. All right. I'm thinking of number 1 to 10. I think Adrian had his hand up first.
1.
Did you say 1? You are absolutely
Wrong.
perfectly correct.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Pray to close our day.
Right. Lord, I thank you for this class and all, and that we could learn from it, and that we could learn from a rabbi who knows about these things. Oh Lord, I pray that you might help us to listen and consider his words. And for you, oh Lord, I thank you for this class. Amen.
Amen. Shalom, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe and
Shalom,
healthy.
shalom, shalom, shalom.